Cardinals Seahawks Week 7 preview. The storyline.
I think the biggest key for the Arizona Cardinals getting ready to play the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday is being balanced offensively, being able to run the ball, being able to throw it using a lot of three-step drop for Max Hall, especially now that Steve Bresson is going to come back. But being balanced means you've got to be in the game, and that's why it goes back on the defensive side of the ball. The Arizona Cardinals defense has got to keep this team in the game. If they're in the game, they can remain balanced on offense. I'm not talking about going out and scoring 14 points like the defense did against the Saints. I'm talking about playing well. Playing well enough where the Cardinals might have a lead, be it a 3-point lead, a 7-point lead, or at least they're down by one possession. If they're close, they can stay balanced, and if they're balanced, that's really going to help out that offensive line at Quest Field, and of course, Max Hall.
Matchup to watch for.
I'm looking at two matchups for this weekend's game between the Cardinals and the Seahawks. I'm going to start with the Cardinals' offensive line against the Quest Field crowd. Now, I'm not talking about Max Hall against the Quest Field crowd because I don't think it's really on Max Hall. I think it's the offensive line that needs to figure out a way to deal with the noise and deal with the environment. Max Hall needs to deal with it too, but if the offensive line doesn't deal with it first, it doesn't matter how Max Hall deals with it. So I think that is matchup number one to watch. And matchup number two, the Arizona Cardinals' ability to at least try to run the football against the Seattle Seahawks. They've got the second-rated rush defense in the National Football League. Chicago couldn't or wouldn't run the ball against Seattle last week. The Cardinals have to establish some kind of ground game against Seattle. Otherwise, Seahawk defenders are going to be pinning their ears and coming after Max Hall all day long, and it'll be a long afternoon if that happens. So they got to rush the ball, and the offensive line has to figure out a way to deal with the noise.
Fantasy question.
All right, a couple fantasy questions for this week's game with Seattle and Arizona. Let's start at the tight end position. A lot of people kind of freaking out. Some tight ends are going down. Dallas Clark's going to be out for a while. Jermichael Finley's gone for the year. So people are kind of looking at the waiver wire trying to find a tight end that can fill in. Well, John Carlson in Seattle is a good tight end. He might be on some teams' rosters, but check your waivers, because if he's not, pick him up, and especially start him this week. Arizona has a long history of struggling against tight ends, so John Carlson could have a decent week this week against Arizona. And on the flip side, Arizona getting a little bit more healthy at wide receiver. Steve Bresson early said practicing this week. I still say tread lightly with those guys. I would not put them in my starting lineup until either one of them prove that they're healthy and ready to be a good fantasy contributor.
Prediction.
Cardinals on the road this week against Seattle. First place on the line in the NFC West. Now, I like Arizona in this game for a lot of reasons. One, they've owned Seattle. They've won 4 straight over Seattle, 6 out of the last 7. They beat them up last year 27-3 and 31-20. And in both games, Larry Fitzgerald was a big factor. Even B.D. Wells able to run the ball against Seattle. No, I know Seattle's gone through a lot of changes. They just brought in Marshawn Lynch, and they feel like they can run the ball a little bit. But Arizona is now healthy. Some guys like Stevie Breston, Early Doucette getting back to the lineup. I really like Arizona to take control of this division by going on the road and beating Seattle 27-20.